It's Jordan. Jordan Plays Blue. This is another roundup. I was hoping to do this a little earlier in the month, but things got in the way. This is for, what is this, November 2023, I believe we're in. And it's now December, so I'm doing this about last month, just like I always do. November was a good month for games. With the holidays, with Thanksgiving, we played a lot of games. We talked about Nana last month. That was a huge game. I taught it to a bunch of relatives during Thanksgiving, and it went over well every single time. The new version in the U.S., which not Nana, that was the Japanese version, called Trio. I actually bought a whole bunch of copies of that for people to give for Christmas, and so everybody's going to be getting that. I'm just deciding whether I want to keep the Trio version or the Nana version. We'll see. But fantastic game. Really, really accessible, and just like such a, like, I don't know, it just feels like a game that really can be played by everybody. I might even just take a copy to work for like the after school kids or stuff like that, because we're always looking for little card games to play with them. Yeah, generally November was a great month. We talk about 4 games that I played, and let's go from there. All right, first game. I believe I got this one. I believe my wife got it for me for my birthday, and it was kind of a sight, had never heard of it before, sight unseen, and just picked it up based off the artwork. The guy at the game store said it was pretty good, and this is Space Park. This is from Keymaster Games. It is a Henry Audubon design, so that is the same team that did Parks and Trails. Henry Audubon also did Kingswood, which is a 25th century game that I reviewed a couple years back. He really seems to like this whole, like, it's not really a rondel, but just kind of moving in circles, doing stuff. I guess that is kind of a rondel. Parks or Trails, you're kind of not necessarily moving in a circle, but you're moving along this path. Space Park is similar to kind of Kingswood, where you are moving around a circle, kind of taking actions. In this one, you're moving around these different planets or locations in space. I think they're different planets. I'm not totally sure. And you are moving around, collecting these different kinds of gems, and then turning them in for these points. You're kind of collecting space badges, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But it is interesting because you're not really moving your own pieces. You're kind of moving these communal pieces around, which makes for some clever play, but also some frustrating turns, because if somebody did like the thing right before you, it kind of boxes you out of that, and you might not be able to get to that in a turn or, as quickly as you wanted to. So that can be a little frustrating, but this is a really kind of delightful little game. Really fantastic artwork from Keymaster, and the production's really solid. So Space Park is definitely a solid one. You're shaken. Apologies for that. From Henry Audubon. So great one. Alright, usually in one of these I talk about a game I didn't like so much. This is a silly game. It's a abstract strategy game, you would think. But it's got some silly names, silly components. May did enjoy it. I liked it less than she did. This is Floats McGoats, which is a fun pun that the kids say, I guess. And this one is all about creating triangles on a triangle board, and you're going to be using these wood pieces in order to create these triangles. You're like building rafts for these goats to float on. That's the name of the game. And you are creating these triangles. As you create the triangles, you get to put different goats on them. There's mama goats and baby goats, and you score depending on what goats are there. You can also flip the pieces over to make them permanent, and so your goats can't be affected by other goats. And so it has all the trappings of like a really thinky abstract strategy game, right? Except on your turn, your options are place a piece or place a goat, I believe, are the 2 options. The third option is roll the dice and do what it says. And so if you want, like, if you're trying to build up this one section of the raft, the only way to flip the thing over to kind of solidify it for yourself is to roll this what is this, a D10, D12, I think it is, and you hope that the side that you want pops up. And so you lose like all agency over this game just because you have this D12 that you're rolling periodically, most turns honestly in the game, because those are the actions you want to take. You mostly want to take the actions on that die. And some of them aren't very nice to each other. It does cause you to lose different things, or it could cause you to move different pieces. And if that die wasn't there, it would be such a more strategic game. And as it is right now, it's just kind of a chaotic mess because you don't actually get to decide what you're doing most turns. So Foolish McGoats could have been an interesting, kind of fun, clever, abstract strategy game, but it's definitely not for me. May enjoyed it. She doesn't mind the randomness, I suppose, but I didn't enjoy it very much. All right, these next two are fantastic games. I was just working on my top 100 games of all time, which I'd never make videos for that kind of thing, just for my own personal records. But these are definitely going to be on it, that for sure. And let's talk about the first one. This is the newer game from this year. This is Sky Team. Sky Team is a 2-player cooperative game which you are working together with your partner in order to land an airplane. You do this with limited communication. I generally don't like limited communication games because I think there's often like excuse me. There's often like different communication. I don't know. It's like one of those things where you like put a card down and you're like, ooh, or like in a Hanabi where you're like tapping things too. I hate that kind of like backdoor kind of communication. I prefer, like in this game, there's just straight up no communication. I think that's great. So in Sky Team, you're trying to land an airplane. You're trying to get your plane to land level. Its wings are level. You're trying to do it with all the landing gear in place and all the flaps where they need to be. You're trying to do it by communicating with the other airplanes to get out of your way so you have room on the runway. And is there another thing? You have to come in with low engine speed. And so you're trying to do all of these things cooperatively over a set number of turns. And then as you get better at the game, you're going to go through these different scenarios with different modules that might be affecting the gas. Or there might be interns kind of doing things periodically. Or there might be wind speed. Or there might, they're going to be tossing new things at you. And as you're going through these modules, it just makes the game, it adds wrinkles to what is a pretty simple like base kind of game that's almost like I've played the base game I think twice or twice, and I didn't play it the third time because I thought it was just boring that second time. And as you add these things, it definitely gets more interesting. So I think this one is just such a cool way to, you're rolling some dice, you're placing them out on the board, and it's just a cool way to do this back and forth gameplay with cooperatively with somebody, and it just works. It just sings really well. So Sky Team, love this one. Really cool. All right, and this last one, my water heater just turned on, so hopefully you can't hear that. But this is Heat, Pedal to the Metal. I've had this one for a couple months. I just played it a whole bunch of times in August. And this game has quickly become one of my favorite games. We used to play Formula D a good bit. I used to own it, and it was it felt really slow. The tracks were super long. You're rolling the dice. You don't always get what you want, and it always felt like it didn't move as quickly as you wanted it to. Heat really peels back that by having the simultaneous card play, and you just kind of do it. You flip over your cards, and depending on what your cards are, you just kind of go along that speed. And it just has such a smooth system where like this, the gear that you're in is the number of cards you can play. The number of cards that you're playing is how fast that you're going. There's some other cards that allow you to do some cool kind of thematic stuff, like you're losing attention, or you're kind of mixed up and you don't know what your next card's going to be, or maybe you're going to go. There's some special bonus cards that might allow you to cool your engine down or take some heat, or different things, and it just comes together super well. It is such an accessible racing game that also plays fairly quickly and just has such a cool look and feel to it. So Heat is definitely has quickly become a favorite game of mine, and I can see what all the fuss is about after finally getting my own copy. So Heat, excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, so we got Heat, Sky Team, great games. Floats McGoats, less so, and Space Park is also really solid. So those are the 4 games I wanted to highlight this month. Hope you guys have a great holiday season. I will catch up to you in the new year, maybe. Yeah, definitely in the new year. All right, I'm Jordan. Thanks.